Trust is difficult for people like you and me because we're know-it-alls. We think we know how it's all supposed to work. And this last step can really be a problem for people like us. Now, most people who teach this system of prayer call this step the release step. I call it the surrender step for a very good reason. When I was involved throughout the decades with organizations that taught the spirituality I'm teaching you in these videos, I constantly heard people saying that they had so much trouble releasing their prayers. When they're done, they don't want to let go of it. And the problem these people were having was essentially that they didn't trust God to be what it is and do what it does. They thought they still needed to keep an eye on things and manage things, which is exactly the same thing as planting a seed in your garden and then digging it up every day to see how it's doing. You're not going to get the results you want. You've got to let go. One of the toughest things for people like you and me to accept in this teaching is that we need to stop being the emperors of our own lives. We need to put the real power in the royal chair, because everything that we are, everything that happens to us, all of it starts within the infinite and moves outward into form. So God is always in the driver's seat. And that's actually a pretty good metaphor. When you finish a prayer, you have relinquished the driver's seat. You have put God in the driver's seat, and that means you gotta let go of the wheel. Let God do its thing. Let it do what it does. Go do something else. Go think about something else. Worst possible thing you could do is worry about it, but more on that in the next and last video. So I call it surrendering, because there's nothing to surrendering. Surrendering, you just go, ugh, you give up, right? Surrendering is when you exhausted all possibilities and you just let it all go. Now, the expression surrendering to God is frequently an excuse for all kinds of ridiculous behavior. I'm sure you know people, because I certainly know people, who say, oh, I'm so sloppy, I'm so disorganized, I'm late all the time because I am in touch with God. I am in touch with my higher power. And then, now we're back to that old dualistic mindset that I railed against in the very first video. We're down here, God's up there. Material world and spiritual world are separate from each other. Spiritual world good, material world bad, on and on. So in that scenario, if you're deeply in touch with the spiritual world, you would not deal very well with all this material stuff because, who cares? Ugh, get that stuff away from me. But since we know that everything is made of God, and that you're made of God, and so is everybody else, then we understand that really spiritually aware people function more effectively and efficiently within the material world than people who are clueless. So, if you're pulling that I'm in touch with God thing, the truth is you're sloppy because you're a slob, you're disorganized because you don't pay attention, and you're late all the time because you're rude and thoughtless. If you thought behaving that way was proof that you were in touch with some higher spiritual power, actually it's proof that you're faking it. So, this is the last thing you have to do is nothing. Just let it go and go, I don't know, wash the car, do the laundry, occupy your mind. Don't think about it anymore, because you have turned it over to an infinite power that will cheerfully do what you've told it to do. Now, I may have made this sound like your work is done. You don't really think it's that easy, do you? No. When you're done praying, you got stuff to do. As the Buddhists like to say, when you pray, move your feet.